7 car features that we no longer see as technology progresses new features, arrive and old ones leave often faster than we can keep track of before we know it. The thing we used on a daily basis is gone. Here are 7 automotive features that got thrown on the scrap heap. Number 1, bench seats. The most recent American production car to offer a bench seat in the front was the Chevy Impala, which, believe it or not, Chevrolet only stopped making in 2015. Just 2 years ago for most vehicles, the bench seat was phased out during the dawn of the seatbelt, as to fit a belt on a bench seat was an awkward affair back before seatbelts were even included in cars, much less mandatory to wear. 3 passengers could fit comfortably in the front of most cars, or possibly for if form as a child these days. Doing that is highly illegal in most developed countries, although lots of third world countries still do it. In the event of an accident, the bench seat is a disaster, offering the occupant very little support. And the chairs often folded in on themselves. Number 2, tail fins. Cars designed inspired by planes seem to be a bit dated these days. But it was once all the rage. Saabs sold themselves pretty much on the fact that they made fighter jets in their spare time. But I can't honestly think of any examples like that these days. In the past century, however, it was all the rage, especially tail fins. General Motors design chief Harley Earl is thought to have been the brainchild of tail fins, making the 1942 Cadillac Series 62 sedan feature them, inspired by the famous World War II plane, the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. 5 years or so later, most people had had enough of the war style, with fins becoming more and more space age. Instead, tail fins became larger and larger, leading to some really bizarre vehicles until they fell out of fashion in the 60s in 2017. I couldn't find any examples of cars that still have them, although the Cadillac XTs from 2012 does hark back to the design somewhat. Number 3, antenna. Seriously? When was the last time you saw a modern car with a folding antenna? It seems to be something to be proud of. The longer the antenna, the better. Pioneered mainly with Japanese brands obsessed with technology on cars. Having an electric holding antenna on a car demonstrated how high-tech you really were. Nowadays, cars still have antennas, but they look completely different, often embedded into car windscreens or routed to the back of the car through a shark fin or bee sting type aerial, which the sat-nav can use. To be honest, it's not much of a great loss having these things gone. Most and easier to make a split windscreen than one piece of glass. General Motors introduced this on most of their vehicles in 1936. These days, the split screen has become an iconic must-have item on classic vehicles. Notably, the Beauty Camper split screens are no longer legal for production, and even if they were glass, manufacturing technology has come on a long way. Number 5, full-size spare tires. Although some cars still have this feature, the majority of normal road-going vehicles don't bother any longer. The points of the full-size spare was that you could put it on stow the flat tire in your trunk and carry on driving for as long as you want, unlike spares of today, which are designed to be used for limited distances at speeds under 50 miles per hour. Most, being forgetful or lazy, didn't quite do this correctly, though, leaving on their spare for months or even years without replacing it, that being until they get their next puncture and realize they've got a flat tire in the boot. Still, it tends to be tough or off-road type vehicles, which have these mainly due to the wear and tear that a 4x4 could experience on the trails. Number 6, fender mirrors. Fender mirrors are actually a cool idea, allowing drivers to keep their eyes looking forward on the road. When driving, there are a few issues with this sign, however, such as the lack of adjustment when moving or the large viewing distance from the eyes of the driver. This Vico is especially popular with Japanese automakers such as Honda and Datsun until the late 1970s. When a side mirror became more suitable, passenger cars only required one mirror on the passenger side until new legislation came in 1986, said cars must have. It would be interesting to see a modern car with these mirrors, though perhaps electronically controlled for easy adjustment. Although slightly pointless. Number 7, steel wheels. Alloy wheels might be normal today. However, in the year 2000, it was still seen somewhat of a luxury on today's vehicles. Alloy wheels are featured on all but the cheapest of cars, where the lots of mid-range cars, throwing out the steel wheel option altogether. Many Audi and BMW vehicles don't bother with them, although they are still popular with business fleet vehicles in poverty spec steel wheels. Hubcaps were standard issue until the early 90s, as alloy wheels were an attractive but expensive option during that time. Today, lightweight alloy wheels helped boost fuel economy, and most people are happy to pay for an improved appearance. The one thing that can be said for Steelies is that if you bend one, replacing a set will cost no more than a Goodnight house. Which features did I forget? Do you have any of these features on your car? Let me know in the comments. Remember, I tried to reply to everyone in the first few days. At least thanks for watching. Cheers, Musert.